I totally understand where you're coming from. So yeah, near-death experiences. You have millions of people going through these experiences, different walks of life, the accidents or intentional circumstances that brought them to an NDE, and they're sharing similar information about what it's like being on the other side, that we're all connected. And I don't think that's a coincidence. And we have scientists and doctors are now actively studying this and they have data to prove that there is something going on. So they're actually taking it seriously. So I think that's pretty awesome for those who are like skeptic and they're like, where's the proof and stuff. And it's just interesting because like when my favorite NDE experiences, not that I find anything wrong with anyone who's normal and had an NDE, my favorites are the skeptics or the scientists or the doctors that end up having an NDE, and they're like, oh my God, they're like, it's real, it's real. And then they try to share with their peers and they're like, they don't understand what I'm talking about, but it's real. And those are my favorites.
Yeah, and there's a lot out there as far as like, you know, people who, you know, have credentials of either multiple people who, why would they go out there and just lie about this? You know what I mean? And I don't know. Yeah. And then the healing aspect too is another really interesting thing. There's a lot of people out there that are, you know, end up being healed after they were like really sick. And what I think with that is that
should have been impossible.
There's something with the light. Mm-hmm. This is what I figured out. Light, and then light is kind of, if you think about it, it's like information, you know, like consciousness, you know. So I don't know where I was going with that, but
no, you're onto something. I actually can touch on that too. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, but I feel like it's a lot of what we're creating with our mind. I was going to go somewhere with that, but what were you going to say? Did you have something to say?
I actually have a book here that I read by Barbara Brodsky. It's called Presence, Kindness, and Freedom. And she was a channeler. I think she's still alive. She's a channeler, and she didn't start channeling or get into any of this until after she had some kind of she gave birth, and then all of a sudden she went deaf. And she was very frustrated with herself. She was very, you know, like when you have a disability, like that's very frustrating, and you could be very angry at life and everything. Mm-hmm. I completely understand that. And then all of a sudden one day she says that a being showed up in her kitchen, and he's like, hello, my name is Aaron, and you know, we pre-planned this meeting to do this, and would you like to communicate? So after some time and communicating with Aaron, he started explaining all kinds of information. So nobody else sees him. She sees him and she translates, and you know, there's different kinds of channelers out there, and she'll just send his message. And the whole book is cool because it's written in a way where it's not like you read in chapters. It's actually questions being asked and then Aaron answering. And so they ask all kinds of what happens when we die, what happens, all of this stuff. And his introduction is about who he is, and he says, my name is Aaron, and I'm a being of light. And he says, you are a being of light and substance. And he says, when you cross over, when you physically die, you become light just like me. And I no longer physically incarnate. I don't have a need to anymore. But I have been on Earth for like 400 years, like incarnating, and I've had different life experiences. And he goes on to answer all kinds of questions, from how do you transcend anger, like how do you balance energy of anger, betrayal, like those kinds of emotions and things we have to do with. But he distinctly, just like you mentioned, talks about light, that we are light, that everything is light, source, God, whatever you want to call it. And when we come here, we have the illusion of solidity, but nothing is actually truly solid. It's all made of light, or a hologram, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And that's what a hologram is. It's light.
Right.
Energy.
Which
it's all energy.
They think of the human design. Are you familiar with that? The human design. So this is also information, but I guess it's using like astrology, and like it's this chart of like your birthday, where you were at, the exact time of birth, and all this stuff. But
Hmm.
so it's basically, I don't know, but it's pretty interesting. But yeah, so
Yeah.
that's, that we basically have crystals in us, and definitely in our pineal gland, but
Yep.
that light basically, and its information, and like it we're all absorbing this through our bodily vehicles or whatever, and that's because we have these crystals, or also like diamonds within each one of us. We all are different and unique, and have different like aspects of us, because we're just unique and individual in our own ways. And so when light comes through, we filter, and it comes out different for everybody. So like everybody's
Yeah.
experiencing something different, and everybody's, something different's coming from everybody. We have a video that'll be coming out soon on Hello Alley YouTube, on the human design, which was interesting. But I found out that I was a projector, which is like 20% of the population. That we're gonna help like lead everybody out of the old, which I want to say like 3D and like control and all that stuff, all the stuff that I used to focus on, like, and that I'm fully aware
Yeah.
of, but now I don't focus on because of law of attraction. I'm aware, like, if I'm going to give my energy and thoughts to that, I'm actually feeding into it, even if I don't want it. You understand
Yeah.
that aspect?
Yeah.
So like, I'm
He
practicing.
talks about that too.
Yeah, so like
He says that the universe never says no to you; it always answers, and that's whether it's good
oh my gosh, I
or
see. So
negative. Yeah.
I just have fun with it, and I want to like hone in and like get really good at it, and like really start to like manifest awesome, great things, which I feel like is already happening on